Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sports Card Advantage podcast. This is episode 20. We made it, guy. 20 episodes in. Thank you for the continued support. I am Jeff, and that is Bunk. What's going on, Bunk?
What's up, man? I'm getting back used to my these earphones or these headphones, whatever they're called. I left my buds in the car, and I was a lazy sack.
I was going to say, what happened to your fancy Bluetooth headphones that you were about to pull out?
Well, they're in the car. I've been listening to them on my long ride to work. I've been listening to podcasts and other things.
Guy, you're one of those that has headphones on while you're driving?
I have one in and one out.
Guy, why don't you listen to the speakers in your car?
Well, when I first leave, I mean, not to bore people, when I first leave, I can't pick up the New York talk radio that I want to listen to, so it doesn't come in as good on the dial. So I just stream it through my phones, and it's good both
on
directions.
The dial? What are you, 80? There are these ways to connect your phone to your car to play what's on your phone through your car speakers.
Not a car from 2007, guy.
On the dial, he says, like it's fucking 1992. All right, here we go. So we'll get some of the administrative stuff out of the way. Once again, we appreciate everybody tuning in. The audience slowly but surely continuing to grow. People sending us questions on Instagram and by email. That's electronic mail for you, sir. It exists. And, so we continue to appreciate that. Find us on Instagram, SportsCardADVTG, and Twitter, same handle. And then send us email, info@sportscardadvantage.com. Please continue to spread the word. Also, if you happen to be listening to us on Apple Podcasts and want to throw us a review, happy to get those as well. We have a pretty packed agenda for today. Going to be talking about a bunch of stuff. Football is in the air. Preseason has started. We're not talking much football today, but the next couple of weeks after that is going to be mostly dedicated to football. So I am excited. Got the background up, and really pumped that we're back in football season. We're going to start with a review of Slabstox. Slabstox is a company that does brakes. They do a bunch of social media content, but their flagship product, I guess you could say, is Slabstox Pro. It is a free charting program and trending cards, etc. They are in direct competition with Card Ladder, Sports Card Investor, Card Hedger, a few of those other things. These guys have been, I guess, hyping Slabstox Pro for a while. I think it came out sometime in the last month or two. Finally, was able to get in and start looking at the charts. As you guys know, for those of you that are new, we are big on charts and big on looking at, trending prices and, using that to make our decisions. So Bunk and I both took an independent look of Slabstox. So Bunk, what are your initial impressions?
It was a lot for me to take in personally. I don't have that kind of attention span. There's a lot going on. I think I'll let you, from what I understand, destroy them first, because I will point out the couple things I did enjoy about Slabstox. But overall, the kind of information I'm getting from from their charts and stuff, it was just too much for me.
And when you say too much, what do you mean by that? As far as,
I just didn't like the layout. I didn't like the interface. I mean, the nice thing is people that aren't paying for the other things, they have their hands on some data now.
Yeah. So for those of you that are watching us on YouTube, we have Slabstox Pro up. It is pro.slabstox.com is the URL for it. I mean, I am a charts guy. I've been trading the market since I was 12 years old, looking at charts, since I was a kid. And, it's a big part of how I look at the sports card hobby and the analysis of things. and this is, very incomplete in my opinion. It's difficult to use. Very very spoiled with Card Ladder. We have zero affiliation or anything with Card Ladder, so we're not getting paid by them. We just use it because, as far as I'm concerned, A, it's $15 a month, and B, it is the most comprehensive as far as the charting. Sports Card Investor is out there. They have their charting apps, which are decent, but I still think Card Ladder is better. But when you have used Card Ladder for the last, I don't know, 10 months, whatever it is, and then you come in here, there is no way to, once you open a specific card, one of, I think, the biggest things, disadvantages that they have is there's no way for me to switch to look at. So right now, for example, I have a 2020 Justin Herbert Prism PSA 9 up. If I wanted to look at PSA 10, I have to go find the entire new card and then bring that chart up. If I wanted to look at other things that normally with Card Ladder, there's just drop downs. Like you can change from raw to PSA 9, PSA 10, look at different parallels. Those are all in drop downs. They bring up new charts. It's very smooth so that you can see the comparisons. With this, every single time I want to look up something else, I have to search for it, find it, and bring something else up. It's very very clunky, and I don't think that it is efficient. So, and the interface is also, it's very very busy, and I think also that I don't think they're done in regards to looking at completing the data. It seems like certain things are incomplete or unfinished, and it doesn't give me a sense of confidence that it's accurate, because when I look at Card Ladder in comparison with Slabstox, the pricing doesn't match and the data doesn't match. So
yeah, I cross referenced a few cards today that had questions on what their slab stock value was, and I immediately went and checked comps on them. Well, there's other cards sold here for way more or way less than this number, so they haven't pulled that information yet.
yeah, and
And it wasn't like it sold today either.
Yeah, and it seems like it's not updated every day. The card that I have up now is the Herbert, Prism, and last updated, was yesterday. I mean, granted, it's still within 24 hours, but in my opinion, I just don't trust the data. It doesn't seem like it's as accurate. And there also seems like they put in a lot of opportunities for you to make your way to eBay. More than likely, they're an eBay affiliate, and more than likely, that's how they're getting paid.
100%. Every card I searched had a link, and I clicked on it, and it takes you right to the eBay page with all the cards.
Yep, and it seems like they have littered this with that in order
Which I wasn't mad at, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad, but at the same time, like it's obvious as far as that they're trying to get you to link to eBay. They have an affiliate relationship with eBay, and then they'll make a percentage of what you buy on eBay, which isn't the worst thing in the world. If the platform was clean and the charts were good, I don't give a shit if you make your money, but it's not. There are a couple things that I looked at that I'm okay with. There's a trending section, so it shows some of the cards, gives you some ideas of stuff that you may want to look at, that's trending up or down. So you possibly get some ideas to, try to find some value, or, see if things are skyrocketing, and maybe you want to stay away from it, etc. So that's not, that's fine.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Yeah. And then, there's some other things. There's additional features that they don't offer you for free. I mean, the big thing for me that is a quote unquote advantage is that it's free, but if the data isn't right and, there isn't the interface that I like, I'll pay the $15 a month all day long. Sports Card Investor's $50. Card Ladder's $15. So for my money, Card Ladder is still far and away the best out there as far as doing your research. We will chat a little bit later in this episode about eBay's new collection data and them dipping their toe into your sports card research, and what we think of that, and how much that's going to compete with the card ladders of the world. But I think card ladder definitely feels some of the pressure. They're releasing some new features and they're trying to stay ahead of the game, and so far their stuff's been spot on.
Yeah, and the Slabstox also has the portfolio section, which I was messing around with a little bit. You can add your own cards there and keep track of this stuff that way. You can also they also have a wish list. So I don't know if it generated any emails yet. I know there's another company we can talk about in the future that anytime I have something on my watch list and a new one's for sale or a price has changed, I get an instant email. So I don't know if by adding to my portfolio wish list if I'm going to get email updates at all, but that'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, for the foundation, as I said, it seems like it's 75% done, and they need to finalize some stuff and continue to fix it. But they've been in that coming soon phase for a long time, and they finally got it out the door, and it just seems like they should have stuck into coming soon for a little bit longer. And once again, I never like to badmouth or bash anybody, but at the same time, I like to give people honest opinion of what we think about it. The guys at Slabstox make great content on social media, on their Instagram and YouTube. But for me, other than doing this review, unless they announce other features or improvements, I probably will not go back and use it again.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, as of right now, I have something better in front of me, so time's limited. I'm going with what I like.
Yep,
But
100%.
again, it's free, and if there are people that are just not going to pay for a car ladder, and it at least gives you some information
Yep,
that you
and
otherwise didn't have the day before.
yep, 100%. If you're looking for a free option, definitely check out Slabstox Pro. The only thing that I would recommend is just double check the data. If you're looking at cards, and just make sure that everything's up to date and make sure that the pricing is where it should be. All right. Any other comments on Slabstox?
No, sir.
All right, we are going to move on to our investment section of the podcast, and I will let you kick us off here. 1993, Derek Jeter.
Yeah, 1993. So I was looking. I know we just finished with the Football Hall of Fame, baseball inductions coming up. So I was wanted to look at a Jeter card, and obviously a lot of those cards from the early 90s, and a lot of his cards in particular have massive pops. So I got to thinking, and it got me into some researching. I went down a rabbit hole of researching print runs of different sets throughout the years, and just trying to see. Now, Topps doesn't always, give us this kind of information, but people surmise things from giveaways they've done and other information they drop on you and odds and such, and they try to come up with a total print run. So I went down a rabbit hole. I was like, well, what 93 Jeter card did they just not produce a lot of in terms of the set? So there was some speculation that the 93 SP card might have had 2 million in circulation. And I mean, which is crazy, but then I went and looked and I found 93 Select. There wasn't a lot of those. There maybe only 80,000 in circulation. So I went and checked out some graded 93 Select Jeters just for the low populations.
Okay. Yeah, I have the 1993 Select Derek Jeter PSA 10 up right now, and full disclosure, Bunk has the largest man crush in the history of man crushes on Derek Jeter. Probably why we're down this rabbit hole. But his current last sold price 301, pop on the PSA 10 is 479, which for these types of cards is super low.
Super low.
Looks like we peaked earlier this year at 837 and 847, and as I said, currently back at 301. If this thing continues to move down, I definitely would be looking at previous ranges, 250 to 300, 225ish to 300. So if you can get it anything under 300, that would definitely be our recommendation for getting in on this card.
Yeah, and like I said, you just can't beat the low pop on it. So when the dust settles on all this stuff going on right now, and a billion cards come back, and we see how the grading industry settles in here. I love this card. I don't see the pops going much higher than what you got right now.
Yeah, obviously buying this card raw and submitting it to PSA right now is a non-starter because if you're only going to get 250 to 300 for it, it's not going to be worth it. And just to confirm, with the older cards, they don't have the RC on it, so this is considered a Derek Jeter rookie card, correct?
Yeah. And plus, at this point, those cards have been so handled, and unless they've been sitting in a top loader since 1993, you're not going to trust many unless the card's literally in front of you.
Yeah. And do we have any BGS data on this card, sir?
I may. What would you like to know?
I don't know. Usually, you give me the BGS slant.
So there's 469s, there's 179.5s, and there's 310s.
Okay, and what do you have for? Do you have any prices potentially on the 9.5s?
I do not. I get that for you pronto if you'd like.
Once again, Stat Boy, get on it. We did have an email come in complaining about your lack of preparation on the podcast.
He wasn't complaining about preparation. You read that completely backwards, man.
I read it as my co-host is not prepared for some of his research on the podcast.
Yeah, you read that incorrectly.
I misread it. Thank you for
you misread it.
Thank you for the spin, BGS News.
Well, maybe he can clarify next time. What do we got here? Last 9.5. It was a buy it now, but it was at 165.
165 for BGS 9.5. Wow.
9.5 select. Yeah, I think that's why I don't have the data. There's literally none. I mean, the last two, I'm going back. We're going back at it. We're way back looking at selects.
Yeah. Well,
bad.
Are there any available for sale right now?
That's a great question, sir.
Once again, bring the heat, guy. The fans want to know.
What we got here? We got a 9 at 90 OBO. We got a 9.5 at 350 OBO. Got another 9 at 95. Got a couple BCCGs. Those are garbage. Don't waste your time.
There's
8.5 at 100. Yeah, so 9s are right about $90, $95.
So there's a ton. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 10s that are up on eBay right now. They're all buy it nows with insanely high prices.
Yeah.
So there's let's see, 2, 1 with the best offer. Everything else is buy it now, 725 or above.
Yeah, you want a Beckett or PSA 9 of this card. You wait for it to come to auction. Put it in your save search. You get it at auction. You're gonna get it for a bargain compared to the buy it nows.
Well, let's do the old offer here for. The 756 or best offer is put up by Dave and Adams, so maybe they'll be reasonable.
756. What's that on the what card?
The 10.
PSA.
Yeah, PSA 10, 756 or best offer. That's what I said, dude. There's 7 or 8 10s up here, and they're all $700 or better with no best offer except for one from Dave and Adams. So that's what I said. We're gonna offer them $250 and see what happens.
And you're gonna get auto decline, and then add it to the block list.
Yeah, your offer was not accepted. Here's a chance to make another. All right. Well, for the sake of fairness, we'll offer them 301, which was the last sale, and see what we get.
They also aren't going
offer not accepted. So yeah, we'll pass for now and wait until this comes to auction. I mean, the last one sold 10 days ago. So it shouldn't be, and it was an auction. So it should not be astronomical that all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we need to charge twice that.
I don't even waste my time. If it's double comps, I don't even offer, no matter who it is or what the card is.
No, I mean,
I don't even bother.
Normally I wouldn't, but we had that experience with the Acuna. One of the nicer cards that we have in our collection. is a Ronald Acuna 2018 Bowman Auto Orange Magma out of 25, and the guy had it up for like $1,000 or best offer, and I offered like 250 because that's what we thought were, you know, something similar to the comps. This was a little while ago, and I wound up getting the card for $300. So, you know, whether or not we got lucky or whatever it was, I'll always throw an offer in there and see if I can, you know, sneak a deal.
Fair enough.
All right, let's move on. We'll talk a little basketball first. Theme for us on the basketball front has been guys that have missed time and that are coming back next year. So we're going to keep that train rolling. We're going to talk Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson, we're going to be looking at his Prism PSA 9. Once again, the reason why we look at PSA 9s or base or things like that, we try to keep things affordable. His current last sold was $246. And, you know, I would like, the last two cards sold were fixed price, $242 and $250. The last auction was $227. So I definitely would want to see you try to get this card in that like 200 to 225 range. Klay has missed the better part of the last two seasons, but he's coming back to a Golden State team that may make a title run. You know, everybody's back healthy. They re-signed Steph. And if he can be healthy and be on the court, you know, he is regarded as one of the better shooters of this generation. His cards got as high, this particular card as high as 512. I think if he comes back strong and plays well, this is tremendous value. So I would keep an eye on this. You know, if you can get it in that 225 price range, hold it until, you know, the season starts. The price has been pretty stable at this 200 to 250 range. It hasn't dipped much below that, so I wouldn't really hold out hope unless, you know, there's some sort of an additional announcement about his injury, and in which case, you know, all bets are off. But
what do you got on the pop?
Pop is 720, which for Prism basketball is nothing. And his PSA 10, if you got the cash, Pop's 696. This one's actually seen a pretty large spike from 675 to 900 over the last month or so. So I think people are obviously seeing the same things that we are, and, you know, the additions that Golden State has made through the draft and through free agency, you know, they're going to try to make a title run.
Yeah,
so,
my money's going to be on the BGS 9.5, sir.
All right, BGS News. What do you got for me on that?
Only has a pop of 259, and the last one at auction, end of July, went for 383. So I'd rather put the money on the 9.5 than the PSA 10, and
Yeah.
that's where I'm locking in, especially at that number.
Yeah, I mean, if you get a 9.5 for 383 instead of the PSA 9 at, you know, 225, 250, you know, if you got the cash, that's definitely something that, you know, you can definitely consider. But I think this is a no-brainer. If he steps on the court and starts hitting threes and starts playing ball, I think this card easily you'll be looking at 50 to 100% on your money. I mean, people have been waiting for him to step back on the court for for 2 years now.
Yeah.
Last but not least, for our investment section today, we're going to talk a little foosball, and we're going to look at 2018 Lamar Jackson. I know that Lamar is not your favorite quarterback, but I love the technicals and the chart on Lamar's cards. We're going to be looking at his 2018 Prism to start, and then a couple of others. Once again, on the PSA 9 is $124. And then for those of you that are watching on YouTube, you can see there's a tremendous amount of support for this card as far as the technical analysis is concerned, and that $100 to $115 price range. So if you can get this card at 120, I think it's very low risk with high potential reward. The PSA 9 maxed out at 700 and change, which is 6x where we are now. If you look at some of the fantasy projections, people have Lamar in their top 5, top 7. Baltimore added weapons, so if he comes out and plays well, he's always been a fan favorite. People love to watch him play, and you'll see that with his cards. The pop on the 9 is $28.95. The pop on the 10 is $590. The cost on that also $678. Same chart, very strong support, very low risk, high reward type of situation, barring injury or complete collapse on the field. There's a couple of other options that we can take a look at as well. We're going to take a look at his optic and hollow, which I think are also solid. So his optic base population 1631, price 310. You can see that very strong support in the 200 to 250 range. This particular card is starting to peak up a little bit over the last few weeks, but once again, the peak on this card is 800, so it's more than 2x where it is now. And then if we look at the hollow, PSA 9 is 233. And similar charts to the Prism, really strong support at that 175 to $200 range. So if you can get this card in the 225, it's a great looking card with a pop of 185, which is awesome. And the PSA 10 pops 167, price 950. Similar charts. So if Lamar steps on the field, plays ball, you could be looking at some pretty big upside on these cards.
Give me, sir, the Prism BGS 9.5 with a pop of 140. Last one at auction at 260.
All right, BGS.
Give me it.
BGS 9.5. So here's the question: with a pop of 140, is this available? Can you get it? I mean, in all fairy tale land, sure, we can look at it, but is it available for purchase at that price? Since, the last sale date was April.
Let's see, sir. It's available at 750 OBO, 500 OBO. There is one up for auction ending in 4 days. It's got one bid at $1.99.
I'll throw it on the watch list.
There you go. It's on the watch list, sir. Just added it.
And 500 OBO, you may be able to get this close to comps.
Well, yeah, at least that's only double the last sale.
Well, I'm looking at last sale on Card Ladder at 350. What are you seeing?
I got 260 was the last one.
For what's the date?
Oh, I just lost it. July 4th. Nope, I lie. July 4th. Yeah, July 4th.
Interesting. You looking on 130?
Yes, sir.
That's interesting. They don't have the sale here on Card Ladder. Let's see.
Yeah.
View all sales. Yeah, they have the last sale on this at April 14th. So.
Yeah, I don't know if there was something fugazi with the purchase, but that's what it says.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, when you're looking at these comps on these darn Prism and Select sets, there's so many gosh darn parallels, it's impossible to filter through.
Yeah, there are a fair amount. Thank you for that 1960s gosh darn language. It's the kids, guy. The kids.
Oh, yeah. The kids.
Alrighty. Let's see.
What are you looking up, guy?
Oh no, I got an email about the Tatum. So for those of you that are completely lost, we're looking at buying some raw Prism Silver rookies, and there was a Tatum on eBay that seemed a little too good to be true. So I sent an email to the person with the auction up to see see if there was something that I was
How
missing.
many dents were in the car?
Exactly. Exactly.
Are you going to share with us?
Oh, yeah. He said no dings and everything is solid, no visible damage. And then he sent me 6 other images of the card.
Follow up, ask him for surface scratches and print marks, but otherwise, that's good to hear.
The email that I sent him was, are there any dings, damage to the corners, damage to the surface, or chipping on the edges?
All right.
And his response was no dings and everything is solid, no visible damage. I don't know. We might have to take a shot at it. Well, we'll talk offline a little bit more about that. All right. Last but not least, on the investment section, we did talk about Jalen Hurts a couple weeks ago. Just a word of warning to everybody. I would definitely, the piece that we talked about was on the smaller side. It was a couple $100. I would not be buying anything larger investment on Jalen Hurts until they figure out what the Deshaun Watson situation is. If Jalen Hurts gets traded to the Houston Texans, his value will go into the shitter. And, so if you buy any sort of bigger pieces in hopes that, it's going to skyrocket with him playing well with the Eagles, for whatever reason he gets traded to the Texans, that team is abysmal, and, I don't envision his cards going up in value. So just be real careful until...
How many more games do you think the Eagles are going to win than the Texans?
5, 6.
Wow, really?
Dude, the Texans are going to win 1 game if they're lucky. The Texans are god-awful. We went through this a couple weeks ago. Their roster is garbage. They have no defense, and their offense is horrific, especially if Watson's not playing. Like, if he sits out, or even if Hurts is the quarterback for that garbage roster, they're going to win 2 games.
I didn't even hear Hurts to Texans rumors.
Yeah, I mean the Eagles have been the front runner in the rumor chatter. Eagles, Dolphins, and Broncos. It's been the same 3 for the whole offseason, but there was an article 4 or 5 days ago that came out talking about a reconnection of talks between Houston and Philly.
All right.
All right. Before we get to hot take, you got any? There's a ton of player movement in baseball and basketball. Basketball we'll try to cover next week. Baseball, do you have any updates for us as far as guys that found a new home and will have a positive or negative impact on their cards, and then maybe anybody else that was involved in any of the player movement and stuff that we should look at?
Yeah, I think some of the vets that moved saw a little spike. Actually, I was looking at Scherzer to the Dodgers, Trey Turner to the Dodgers, Gallo and Rizzo to the Yankees. I was looking at their flagship graded cards, and they all seem to get a little bump with the trade, believe it or not. And then I was looking at Austin Martin goes to the Twins, so I'm thinking, okay, well, he's got a quicker path to the bigs with the Twins than he did with the Jays, so I thought maybe you'd see a little spike on his stuff, and I was actually surprised you did not. So I guess there's just either not a lot of Twinkie fans, or people don't believe in Austin Martin yet, but he's definitely someone to keep my eye on. And the Nationals got back Hebert Ruiz, who was tearing it up for the Dodgers in the minors, catcher.
Okay, so Hebert Ruiz is a catcher, correct?
Yep.
Oh, you like how I knew that? And
then how did you know that?
Actually saw something on Twitter today, a guy talking about how he just bought a Hebert Ruiz green Bowman auto, and the value he got, and people are sleeping on him. So I saw that on Twitter today.
Yeah, he's got a lot of power, at least in the minors. So
yeah,
we'll see. Guy I'm keeping an eye on for sure. I mean, I was following him with the Dodgers, but we'll see what happens.
And Austin Martin plays what position?
He's a shortstop.
Shortstop.
So he was blocked by Bo Bichette. They just drafted him. He was expendable. They made a move, and now he's a Twinkie.
So if you're going to look at Austin Martin cards to keep an eye on, which ones are you looking at?
I mean, I like his Sapphire card, his Bowman Chrome Sapphire. I mean, his autos are out of this world. I mean, don't get me wrong. An autograph of his is they're off the charts. But I would look at a Bowman Chrome, first Bowman Sapphire of his.
Do you know the year by any chance?
Yeah, this past year.
2020? 2020 or 2021?
2021.
2021 Bowman Chrome Sapphire. Okay, got it. Well, just trying to give the folks the details here so if they
Yeah, I
want to
mean, I
look
literally
stuff
was
up.
looking pre-July 31st and after July 31st. So obviously, small sample size after July 31st. But I thought there would have been a bump, but there was not.
So, I mean, in situations like this where guys, you don't know where they're going to go until they go, do you feel that with like veterans that the bump is already built in, so it's almost like impossible unless you own the card for a little while before the trade deadline to take advantage of this kind of move?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what people are looking at. I mean, a lot of people put a lot of stock in playoff stats and how many rings you have. So, Scherzer instantly goes, he's instantly going to the Dodgers and now he's a contender for
Yeah.
another ring.
But that's what I'm saying. If his cards were priced at X and then they jump when he gets traded to the Dodgers, if unless I know in advance that he's going to the Dodgers, I mean, have I is the opportunity there to make any money on the bump, or is the bump already over by the time
No, the bump's over.
yeah.
The bump's over. Yeah, 100% agree. The bump's over. I'm just commenting on their up. So if there's something you were looking at, you got to let the trade deadline die down and go back at it.
Yeah, 100%. And that's one of the things we'll start talking about a little bit when we get to some of the football products, best times to buy and, um, unless if the guy is rumored to get traded and his cards haven't shown any movement, or it's like a month out, that would be the time to start accumulating and sitting on it. So if the trade happens and you get the bump, then you can offload it. Otherwise, if the cards jump 20-30%, you got to be careful buying at that point, unless, as you said, they're going to go to the playoffs and potentially win a title. You may get a little bit more move.
Yeah, and prospects are exactly what they are. They're all prospects. Even first rounders, you can't trust most of them.
Yeah.
You just never know. I mean, look, there's a slew of 23-year-old first rounders that are barely at a double A and barely hitting 200, and people put a lot of money into them.
Like Wander Franco.
Well, he's not 23, and he's in the bigs already, accumulating stats. Meanwhile, JJ Bleday is stuck in double A Marlinville, hitting barely his weight.
I have no idea who JJ Bleday is.
That's because you don't sit on minorleague.com all day long.
No, I don't. I have better things to do than sit on minorleague.com. All right. Anything else on player movements? Anybody else you like, or anything else that you're looking at?
Nah, we can get into some more of that in the future, but those are the two big ones. Those are the top, in my opinion, the top two prospects that move. So just keeping an eye on, their path to the show. As far as, I'm not a big throw a huge amount of money on these guys until they really look like they're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
But you got Ruiz and Martin that are a step away now, so or a lot closer than they were a week ago to the big. So keep an eye on them.
Yeah, and if it's something that you can afford to purchase and throw in a drawer until they get the call up, and then you'll see the bump, you'll have it in advance, and then you can either offload it or hold it depending on what you want to do with it.
Yep.
Alrighty, let's move on. Hot take. We're going to talk about eBay's new collection feature. For those of you that don't know, eBay launched a beta of their collection feature, which is in essence a way to track the value of your cards. It'll give you some charts, it'll give you some data. It is in beta, and actually I can bring it up.
It's in a dumpster.
Yeah, it's crap, but
let's just cut to the chase. It's garbage right now.
Yeah. Where the fuck is it? Collection beta. Here we go. All right. So what we're looking at is, this is cards that I purchased over the last year. I guess this is the 1 year. So their ideas are in the right place. It allows me to track all the cards that I bought and their appreciation in value, et cetera, et cetera. It'll show you individual cards, and right now we're looking at a 2019 Bowman Chrome Mega Wander Franco that we bought. We bought it at 156. It says the market value is right now is 308. I don't know if that's right though. Is that right?
doesn't sound right to me, but I haven't looked lately. As soon as he came up, I sold it all, so I have no idea.
Yeah, look that up. I mean, because we were looking at this the other day because we bought an Mbappe Select PSA 9 at 180 a while ago, and I was checking after the Messi trade, and I happened to look in here, and it's saying it was like $900, which I got all excited about because I hadn't looked at the value in a while, but that wasn't even close to right. It was only 300 and change. So don't even know if this is right.
What is it? A BGS 9.5?
PSA 10.
Oh, it's PSA 10. Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, we only buy the bougie stuff.
Well, that's because you're buying it. I was buying it.
We only buy the bougie stuff.
I don't think we'd own a PSA 10.
Yeah, the plastic from PSA hits your skin and it burns.
Yeah, it's probably about right. I mean, the last couple at auction, 290, 286.
Okay.
There's a buy it now today at 250, so your number might come down a bit. But yeah. So on August 8th, there was an auction at 330.
Okay.
PSA 10.
All right.
Yeah, so it's right on.
Maybe we will stand corrected on that. So why the fuck was the Mbappe listed at so high of a price?
I mean, that part is cool on your past purchases. What I don't like is when I'm doing searches and it comes up and it's trying to give me data on cards I'm searching for. So, for example, I was looking up 2014 Bowman Trey Turners, and they were trying to give me the overall value of that card. But the problem is they're giving me the value of every parallel and every version and every graded. If I just want the raw chrome refractor, I don't get the data they're giving me because they lump it all together. So until they give me a way to filter, like really narrow down the card I'm looking for, it's useless to me.
Yeah.
I don't care that the market cap is whatever it's literally it's literally every single card of that release that's on eBay that's sold.
Dude,
that's just useless data to me.
I really need. We're gonna get a sound effect that says "Get off my lawn." So every time you do that, I can hit the button and get Clint Eastwood saying "Get off my lawn."
Man.
So anyway, yeah, I have the Mbappe card up right now. So the eBay market value shows 829, but it shows the last sold at 311. So it looks like it's in.
Right, but is there other versions of that card?
Yes, there are other versions of that card, but one of them may be a PSA 10, or one of them may be some other variation on the select parallel. So but I don't care what those are. I care what my card is worth.
Right, but if they're lumping in the data from multiple versions of it, then you're not getting anything that's useful.
Correct. So it seems like they still have some bugs to work out. However, the point and the hot take that we are taking with this is once eBay gets their shit together, they're a behemoth, and they are definitely coming for the card ladders and sports card investors and the Slabstox and the card hedgers of the world to take business away from them. They are going to look to try to control this aspect of the market, and then the interesting thing that's going to potentially happen is they control their data feed. They can shut it down if they so choose, and once they get their shit together, if they want to say, hey, card ladder, we're not going to give you this data anymore, they can do that. And that becomes a very, very scary proposition for some of these companies. One of the reasons why 130 Point shut down for that month or 6 weeks is because eBay was blocking their ability to scrape their site for data. And we learned that firsthand because we have our own version of 130 Point that we're in the process of building, and we saw the same thing. So, with a large company like eBay trying to do something like this, if I was one of these other companies, I'd be very scared as far as if one day they just turn around and say, hey guys, we've created our own, and it's been nice working with you, but we're going to keep our data feed to ourselves.
Not with any luck, eBay fails.
Well, guy. I hate to say they're too big to fail, but at this point in time, I don't think eBay's going anywhere.
No, not the entity.
The collection part.
Yeah, so I can get the little stupid stock lightning bolts to get off my app every time I search for something.
Get off my lawn. All right. Well, we'll see. But I definitely think that there's more to come on that, and they're gonna take a serious run at trying to make something that you can use for charting and your values of your cards and your portfolio and all those things that a lot of these other apps and programs do. I mean, eBay still controls what 80 to 90% of all sports card sales at this point.
Yeah, listen, if they do it right and you can trust it, really cool.
Yeah.
Because I know tons of guys now that just do their own Excel spreadsheets and track all their losses and gains on there, like a ton of dudes.
Yeah, that's tough.
What's up?
That's tough. I mean, there are some programs out there that you can use, and I'm playing around with a few, and eventually we'll get to some reviews for that. Because I want to turn this into where we can simulate what we're doing on here. And for full disclosure, we are tracking the cards that we give out on here on our card ladder and our portfolio to report back results, so that we're not just throwing out random suggestions, and we can stand behind our data. The only thing that bothers me about card ladder is if I want to sell a card, I can't lock in the profit. It just disappears from my portfolio like it never existed.
Yeah, it won't reflect in the value of your portfolio.
Correct. So I'm playing around with another app that actually does that, and then once I have some more data, we'll report back on that. All right, Guy. We have another peanut gallery of real questions this week. We have one that came in on Instagram and then one that came in on email. So we'll start with the one that came in on email. Shout out to Garrett. Garrett submitted this question. I have always been much more into buying than selling when it comes to cards. Buying is fun and easy. Selling is letting go of something you own and challenging. So I find myself with an inventory of cards over the past year that I'm up about 55 to 60% on. Nice work, Garrett. And a lack of time to sell them in the time frame I should be. With that said, what are your thoughts on consignment? Have you guys used it in the past? If so, what kind of reputations do the big guys have?
So as you're reading that question, and I read it earlier, we should have asked Garrett what kind of like dollar value are we speaking here? Like, are we talking a whole bunch of stuff under $100, a whole ton of stuff? Like, what's he buying? Is he buying high end stuff, middle road stuff? Is he just trying to sell low end stuff? Because all that'll matter, and we can get into a discussion about that.
Well, why don't you run us through a couple of different options? And
so your big guys. So he mentioned the big guys. So I'm assuming he's referring to places like Probstein and PWCC. So if you want to scour the forums, sports card forums of the world, you can find tons of personal reviews on both of them. But a couple of the main talking points that I took away from it was, so Garrett, if you're listening, if you have a ton of stuff over $50, the general consensus was send it all to PWCC. If you got a ton of stuff under $50, you should send it all to Probstein. A lot of people were complaining. So the pros and cons here. A lot of people complaining Probstein not as good with the emails, more mistakes. You're not always informed when your cards are listing or going to be listed. Whereas PWCC is a well-oiled machine. Everything that's going on every step of the way. You can sign off, and if I'm understanding correctly, you're signing off on the item description too. That was some of the complaints of the Probstein auctions as well. As the item description wasn't up to people's liking, whereas PWCC they're involved in that process, and then they just had less mistakes. So my takeaway from my reading today and my previous experiences talking to people is that I would trust PWCC more with the higher end stuff. But if you're looking for the quick get up, turn around under $50, right to Probstein. Now the other thing you're going to ask is, well, how much are they taking from me? So I was looking at the charts of their dollar ranges, final value fees, and I think one of the reasons why the consensus was to go under $50 to Probstein is because you were saving a ton of money doing that. Anything over $50, they were pretty comparable to what they're taking from you and what you're getting, based on your final value.
And what about, obviously those guys have great reputation. Two questions. What about COMC? As far as, I know that they have a little bit of a different situation, but it's still consignment. So what about them? And then also, obviously there's many more partners out there that do consignment other than those three guys. What are you thinking about some of the smaller players in the space? Not necessarily specifics, but things to look out for before engaging with somebody that doesn't have the reputation of a PWCC.
Yeah, I mean, there's guys on Twitter now doing their own consignments. So you got to do, if you're gonna. I mean, I would never do that, but if you're gonna look, if you're gonna look at those guys, I mean, listen, do they have the following? Are they selling and moving tons of stuff? They have the eyeballs, and you got vouchers and recommendations that believe in them. Then go for it. Because again, you're not doing the work; someone else is. So great, as long as you can trust it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things to keep in mind about PWCC is, I mean, they have 310,000 feedback on eBay, and I mean, their results and everything else is just ridiculous as far as the amount of eyeballs and the amount of things that your auctions will get in comparison with somebody who's not as popular.
Yeah, and then with COMC, I don't want to go. We could go into a whole segment talking about how they feature things, but to the point where if Garrett responded to us and said, "I got tons of cars under $100. I got hundreds of cars under $100." I would honestly say send them all to COMC.
Okay, why?
Why? All right, so the biggest thing is I'm looking at all these sales threads on Twitter, and I'll even look at auctions on eBay. I mean, anything that's going to be $1 or $2, I'm literally looking and filtering for free shipping. I refuse to pay people's $4.50 for a 99-cent card. So I can't list those cards on eBay because I don't want to be bothered shipping that. And most of the time, you're not selling a card for $5.99 plus taxes because no one wants to pay the shipping on it. So I pack up a box of 200 cards that are valued under $100 because that's one of their submission levels. And I'll let them take the 50 cents off the top plus the shipping it takes to get there. And instead of a $2 card sitting in a box, I'm going to get something for it. Especially if I think it's going to move. And I do nothing. I ship nothing except once to them. They take care of all the work after that and just put money in my account.
Yeah. And when the money they put in your account, do you have to use it at COMC or is it something you can withdraw?
You can do two things with it. You can withdraw, but they take 10%. So that stinks. So what I normally do is I'm buying all my set needs on there. And then when the time comes, they do also offer a voucher, I think, to one of the distributors. Maybe it's DNA. I don't know what it is. And they'll give you, say you got 1,000 in your account. I think they'll also take 10%, but then they give you $900, whatever it is, they give it to you to use at and buy cards with.
10% is a big chunk.
Yeah. So what I normally do is I just have all my set needs shipped to me as I go through, and then if the time comes where I want that money, I'll just buy a big card and have it shipped to me. I'm not going to lose the 10% money just to cash out.
Yeah, and that's something to keep in mind if you're looking for cash. Keep that in mind. If you're looking to reinvest, and don't mind spending it on COMC, they have a massive amount of cards that you have available. So if you want to reinvest, COMC, good idea. If you want cash, definitely take a closer look at the fees and where it's going to be comparable.
Yeah, I think that's a great point.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, guy.
All right, last question of the day. Do you have any thoughts about the 2003 Topps Paper LeBron number 221 base versus the collection variation? Base is obviously an iconic card, but the pop is so much lower on the collection. So we're going to go to the data and look up some LeBrons. So we'll start with the paper. 2003 PSA 10 Topps LeBron is 3,800 right now. Pop is 2,000 1995. I mean, price wise, chart wise, now's a great time to buy LeBron. He is once again trying to build himself a title. His pricing hit a support level at the mid threes, bounced up a little bit. It's staying in that range. So if your budget is $3,800, that you can look at the LeBron paper, or PSA 9 is about $920. And the BGS 9.5 is $1,800. If you're looking at the first edition which is, one of the variations. I mean, the pops on these are nothing. The value is $20,000, but the pop's 108. If you can afford it, in my opinion, as far as long-term value goes, the rarer the card, the better. As long as it's from one of his, the premier sets or the parallels or variations. So this is the 2003 first edition. It's $20,000. So if you have that kind of cash, I mean, PSA 9 is $4,000. The PSA 9 is more expensive than the PSA 10, but I would buy the PSA 9 for that same money instead of the PSA 10 on the first edition, because the pop is 1/10. So
yeah, and go ahead.
I mean, rarity seems to be, at least right now, what's in vogue as far as, base has been all but dismissed, and people are looking for parallels, they're looking for variations, they're looking for things with much lower pops.
Answer his question. I mean, if he wants to really be specific between, flagship and contemporary, you mentioned that 3,800 on the Pop 2000 PSA 10. Well, on the contemporary, for a few bucks more, with a pop of 101, I can get a BGS 9.5 for 4,100 or for 4,000.
Yeah.
And I'd much rather have, now you can argue back and forth, the Topps Chrome's a nicer looking card or whatnot, but if you're looking to put money into something, I'm going to go to your point, the lower pop, and for the same amount of money, I can get the low pop 9.5 on the contemporary for long-term hold.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and then, depending on the look and your budget, once again, I mean, the Topps Chrome, the population is still the same at 2,100 as it is on the paper, but it's 5 times the price. So is that something that you really want, to spend the extra $11,000 on for the same pop in the card? So that's interesting as far as, what you're going to do with that. But I mean, the value on Chrome versus paper seems to hold regardless of pop. So once again, if you have the money, I'd look towards the Chrome versus the paper. And the
cool.
Topps Chrome PSA 9 pop is over 3,000, and the price is about $5,000. So definitely not cheap, but at the same time, he's trying to end his career with a title, bringing in everybody that wants a place to play basketball. With Melo and why can't I remember his name? Russell Westbrook and a few others. So if he takes home another title, obviously his stuff's gonna pop again. So
yeah, I mean, that again, depending what you we can ask that gentleman what your collecting goal, long-term hold or
yeah,
flip.
are you looking to flip? Are you looking for long-term hold? What do you which card do you like the look of? I mean, because there's also the 2003 what is it, Rookies and Stars? Yeah, 2003 Bowman Rookies and Stars, which has a much different look to it, on this. And the PSA 10 on this is going for 8,400. Population is 512. So if you like the design on this card better, it's a low pop, it's a chrome card, it's a good looking card. Him in the actual Cavaliers uniform. Also good position. Anything. Last sale on this was 6,100. If you can get this thing for right around there, I would be a buyer at that price. Or you roll the dice and get it raw for 5 and change and try to get it graded.
Yeah, for that kind of money, I'm holding it and looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, this is the type of card that if you can find it and see it and touch it in person, it's worth the money. If you can, but more than likely anybody that has something that's gradable, whether or not they're a personal collector or whether or not they work for a card shop, they have already sent it in. So that's the tough part.
Yep.
Finding stuff that has high-end PSA 9, PSA 10 value raw is difficult.
Yeah, I've had better luck buying from, people on Twitter and in Discords and stuff like that, in terms of turnaround good grades,
Yeah.
versus on eBay, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, but it's also tough. It's like, guys that have any kind of knowledge about cards know that the card is more than likely grade worthy. So unless they don't have the $200
Well,
to,
especially in the last 12 months. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I'd love to know how many new accounts have been made at BGS, PSA, SGC, and HGA over the last 12 months
yeah.
compared to the last 10 years.
I mean, all of a sudden, guys understand what grading is, and anything that looks even close to good enough to grade, they're gonna send it in themselves.
All the more reason why give me that contemporary.
Exactly. All right, sir. Anything else to close us out with?
No more get off my lawn stuff.
All right, fair enough. All right, that's going to close us out for episode 20. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in. If you have questions you want us to answer next week, hit us up on Instagram. That's sportscardadvtg, or send us an email, info@sportscardadvantage.com. Continue to spread the word. Next few weeks, we will be talking heavy on football. It is my favorite time of year, so I can't wait. Thank you, Bunk. We'll see you guys next week.